What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Make It Kustom. I'm Carl Fisher, and today we are back on my 1939 Lincoln Zephyr 4-door to 2-door conversion. The last time we worked on this project, I was struggling with this side panel and this body line. I ended up making dies for the bead roller to do this body line, and I'm not really happy with it. That's kind of why I stalled out and sort of lost motivation and kind of went and did other things. But I do want to get back on this. I would like to get this chop finished this winter. That's kind of my goal. So we're gonna have to pick away at it. And what we're gonna do in this video is remake the bead roller dies, assess what went wrong with this body line and why I don't love it. And we're gonna redo this body line all the way back to here, so that we're replacing part of the factory one to try and get the flow a little bit better. So wish me luck. Thanks a lot, everybody. Don't forget to like, click subscribe, hit notifications. Let's get into this video. Okay, so these are the dies for the bead roller that I made the last time we did this. And this is basically just the profile of that body line in the Zephyr. There's a couple things that went wrong when I made these. One of the things is that I think that the diameter was a little bit too large. So because the diameter and the spacing between these two dies is not what the bead roller is meant for, they were kind of forced on a little bit of an angle. That was one thing. And the other thing was that I didn't have a very good drill bit for the center hole. So it ended up hogging it out a little bit larger than it needed to be, which then in turn made them kind of oblong and lumpy. I'm gonna show you exactly what I'm talking about. If Elio has a look right down the end of this body line, you'll see these lumps. You'll have to kind of look down it. Yeah, can you see? Yeah, actually, there you go. The camera has a camera on one side, but you can see there's a lump and a lump and a lump, and that is these dies having that oblong in them because they didn't have the perfect bore. So today, I'm going to redo that. So I've got some new blanks. I'm just gonna try this again, and I did get a new drill bit that is not gonna oblong it, so we'll have a nice centered die. I'm gonna get started just marking these out and getting them on the lathe. Okay, so where we're at right now is that the one side is done. So what I did was used the paper template to get the one side done. Now I'm using this to keep checking on my other side. And the way I'm getting this curve is a little bit archaic, but it takes a little bit of practice. You literally etch-a-sketch this. You guys remember etch-a-sketch? The two knobs, you know, that just go up or sideways? That's all lathe is. It's got one knob that goes in and out, one knob that goes left and right. So I go left and right, in and out, and that is my etch-a-sketch. So what I'm literally doing is I'm kind of watching it and feeling it and trying to get as close as possible. Like, you see how I can kind of run that little bit organic of a line. I'm actually better one way than I am the other way, but you get a feel for it after a while, and you just literally etch-sketch it. So when I'm holding on to this, I can see, if I look right down, right through it, that I am relatively close the entire way. I do need a little bit more off of here. We could probably do that mostly with the grinder and just checking, but I'm just gonna show you the etch-a-sketch one more time. I'm gonna just take a little bit off of the rest of here, and then I'll go to just like a 3-inch angle die grinder and start cleaning this up and sanding it until I'm happy with it. And then we're gonna give it a try on the bead roller. We still have to drill and tap a couple of set screws for these to lock onto the shafts of the bead roller, but that's what I'm gonna do now. So I'm gonna power this thing up. We'll take a little bit more off, and then we are going to just clean this up and make it as smooth as this, which is about 80 grit, just on a DA while it's spinning, and that's plenty smooth enough for the sheet metal. Yeah, I believe we're very, very close. Looks like a tiny bit right there. Start right about there. Pretty sure that's it, which it is. Yep. So I'm gonna start sanding it now. I've got some 80 grit, or this might be 60. I've got 60 grit on a 3-inch roll lock, and then I've got some 80 grit hand sandpaper, like this while it's spinning. And then I've got just one of these. These are like little Scotch-Brite fiber discs. There's brown ones, there's red ones, there's gray ones. I use the brown ones, they're the coarsest. I think 3M makes these. There's other people too, but the red ones are literally red Scotch-Brite, which is a little bit finer. Brown ones are a little bit coarse. So that's what I'm gonna use to clean this up, and we'll make her sweet. Okay, so happy with the nude bead roller dies. I'm gonna tell you what was wrong with these ones. There's a couple things. These are the first set that I made, did it the same way, freehand. If you saw a video on it, this is a very similar video, but we're just fixing it. So this shape was close, but like I said before, this distance from center to center was also a problem. So not only is the center bore too large so that when we clamp the piece on, that it was kind of doing this oblong, but the center to center of this, I don't know how I miscalculated it, but I did. So going edge to edge is the same as center to center. It's just easier to look at. So I've got 2 and 7/16, just shy of 7/16. And now the center to center on my dies is supposed to be 2 inches. So it means that these dies were not sitting with the shafts parallel, which means that they would have been tipped a little bit like this because they were too far open. So, one mistake of many. These are the new ones. They are beautiful, they are flat. These, I think they're gonna work really well is my prediction, but also to repair what we were talking about there, the edge to edge on these is way closer to 2 inches. Like we're just over 2 inches with this. So much better as far as freehand goes. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna give these a shot. I'm gonna chalk them up into the bead roller and we're gonna do a test pass on some 18 gauge sheet metal as a strip, rather than trying to hinge the perfection of this arced, smooth bead roll on trying to just nail it. I'm gonna make this in a long strip that extends that bead roller or that bead rolled body line further back so that we can try and get a nicer, more even flow. That's the thought anyway. So we're gonna give this a shot right now. Okay, ready to give her a go. Is that gonna leave too much tail? Doesn't really matter. I'm looking at how much extra I'm leaving because I know I'm gonna use the shrinker stretcher. Like I'm just gonna run this directly straight through. And what I'm thinking is that I could just stretch the outside evenly to get that slow curve and just keep matching it to the car. I think if I had a set of sweeps, what sweeps are just like really large radius, like water jet cut or laser cut templates that instead of just having like a circle template, smaller thing, these are like, you know, 20-foot radiuses and stuff, like really slow curves that you could actually count on for a mark. But I think what I'm gonna do is just make these dead straight and try stretching the outside of them to get my arc. So test number 1, let's do it. I'm gonna have to run this through a few times. That didn't even do anything, that first pass. Okay, I'm very stoked with this first try, okay? There it is, sitting over top. It's pretty dang close, I'd say, to perfection. So, yeah, I'm really happy with the way the dies turned out. I'm gonna try a narrower piece next time so that I don't have this line to contend with. So whatever that distance is, I'm gonna cut that off, and then I'll do maybe a little bit less here, maybe just by a little bit, so that it's no deeper than the depth of the jaws of my shrinker stretcher. And then I'll just kind of stretch a little bit on here to try and get this very gradual flow out of it. One of the major things that I notice about this new piece is that it's not lumpy. I can see the lumps in this from the oblong die. So now I know that's fixed. So anyway, good enough. So I'm gonna cut a longer piece that's narrower, and I'm gonna run the whole thing through again, and then we're gonna try and give it that little bit of an arc so that it gets a nice flow from here to there, and put that in separately. I think I can still use this panel, like it's not bad. I know if I made another whole panel, it would be maybe even a little bit better than this one, but this being my 4th or 5th try, I don't even remember, I think this one's pretty good. So I'll cut this body line off, I'll make a new body line, try and get the curve right, and then we'll tack in the new body line. We'll make another one for the other side, and then I'll be able to make a panel like this for the other side. And honestly, getting the quarters done is a huge step for me. I'm just gonna make this next piece, and we'll go from there. Okay, so here's the piece I just made, and it's pretty straight. Like, it was a bit of a fight, but as long as I had really good pressure on the fence, it stayed pretty straight. There was a couple times I had to back up and just noticed I was going off a little bit. What I do notice as well is that there's a slight ripple right in the edge. I don't know. Oops. Oh, I just smashed it. Whoopsie. Okay, it didn't dent it. Lucky. But I don't know if you guys can see that. I was trying to just get a good background so that you could see it, but where would be easiest? I don't know. Anyway, maybe you can see it, maybe you can't. There's a little bit of a ripple on the edge here, which indicates to me that there's a little bit too much material there. So I guess, I don't know, why is that? I might have to shrink up the edge a little bit to get the ripples out of it. The other side is pretty straight, not ripply. So what I'm gonna do next, let me just show you how well it fits. It's not perfect. Like, if I really wanted to get it perfect, I think I would have to, like, try to point with my fingers here. I don't know if you can see my finger. Can you see it? Right at that bottom, this bottom contour looks really, really nice. Like, I really like that. I think it fits beautiful. It's nice and tight. Now this edge is just a little bit tipped out from that. So what I'm thinking of doing is just running it through the English wheel a little bit, squishing the peak, you know, in between the wheels, and maybe I can get it to fit a little bit better. But let's just see. There, you can see it probably a little better now that I'm holding it like this. Fits perfect on the bottom contour, and then just the upper is kind of pulled away, like a little overbent, we should say. So I'm just gonna run it through the wheel a couple times and just try and get it to fit a little nicer, and then I guess I'll have to probably cut out a section of the body line so that this old body line is not kind of impeding on our judgment of the new body line, you know, as we set it down. So I'll probably have to trim off a bit. I'm gonna leave the holes for the trim, but go directly above it. And yeah, that's what's up next. And like I said, I'm gonna try and, while I'm at the English wheel, like I'm gonna English wheel to try and get this angle a little better on my piece. And then I'm also gonna use the English wheel to pinch the edge and run the edge through to hopefully get somewhat of a contour happening. And like I said, I might have to shrink up the bottom edge a little bit to get it to fit, but that's what I'm gonna work on now. Oh yeah, that's looking much better. That was just a couple of passes through with flat wheel bottom, flat wheel top, just to try and evenly give it just a little bit of a squish. Perfect. Happy with it. Okay, so I'm just gonna change the lower die, the lower anvil, to just a very low crown one. This is going to hopefully allow me to feed this in, just this flat part of the flange, so that it gets a little tighter in the center, and it's going to stretch the edge of this flat part a little bit. It's going to pinch a little bit more right there than it is, you know, for the rest of it. And hopefully that's going to start our slight contour, our roll, our radius, or whatever. Yeah, that's what we're going to try and do. So as of right now, it is pretty much dead straight. Let's give it a try here. I'm just gonna try and be the most, you know, consistent as I can be. So I'm gonna follow the edge of this wheel right with the pinch, or not the pinch, but the corner of my profile here. So I'm going to try and line it up to. Someone could almost make a fence for an English wheel too, for this type of process. That went through very easy. I do see just a a little bit. It's kind of funny. You can definitely see it right here on this panel, and then it kind of goes straight, so it's almost like it pinched it in more, you know, a little bit more in one spot than the other. So I'm going to run it through again, but I'm going to stop short of that spot. I don't know what I did there. Just run it back a little more here. Okay. Trying to even it out right now because it looked like it pinched it a bit more in one spot than the other, which is kind of weird. Maybe there's a little bit of an inconsistency, a tight spot in my dies. I know they're not perfect, but they're pretty close. Not sure if you guys can see that slight arc happening now. Really isn't much. It is a little bit. I think it's also pinching it a little bit too much, just right on the outside edge. Like it's really not making contact in any further. So I might have to tip this die up a little bit to get it to pinch a little bit further down. I think I'm going to shim this up a little. And then our track will be a little bit closer to the outside, because right now the track is just touching in the far inside there. I would like to see the track maybe about there so that we can work it a little bit. Found this little strip of sheet metal in the scrap bin, some stainless, I believe. So I'm just going to cut a little piece of it. Oh, my shears are not loving stainless. Oops. Okay, I got my little piece of stainless here. Just gonna slide it right on the end here. Just press it down to let it conform. There we go. Now you can see the track mark has moved over, but not by much. It's actually not over that much. I don't know if you can see exactly where it is, but it's only maybe a 1/4 inch. So I'm gonna make one more of those pieces. I mean, it's getting a little better, but it still could use a little more. That's better. Okay, so now we are moved over to about there. I'm gonna run it through again. Hey puppies. Hey guys. What's up, Roscoe? What's up, Susu? This is Kitsune. We call her Susu. This is Roscoe, aka Mr. Chicken and Waffles. Hey? Yeah, okay, they want to go outside. That's why the camera is floating now. I did do a bit of stretching on just this flange. You can see I've got a little bit of an arc in it, but this is a bit of a learning experience for me too. I've never made a piece this way. So there's a couple issues. Figured out what the wave is from. The wave is because these dies also kind of do this a little bit. I'm gonna show you, and I think that it's okay, like it's not enough for it to hurt us, but I'm just gonna undo this a little bit. With it undone, you can kind of see there's a little bit of an oblong in there. I don't know if you can really tell.
You can see it.
You can see it? Okay. But if I were to crank it down all the way and add a little bit of pressure, there is no oblong in it because...
If you move, can you just move out of the light? I just need to see light behind it, so then,
Yeah, see, the oblong kind of is gone when it's pressed down tight because the deflection in the shaft is allowing it to stay tight. So the next piece that I make, like I said, this is a practice. The next piece that I'll make, I'll just make sure that I tighten it all the way down. I think that's gonna be fine. So what I think at this point I'm gonna try, because this is kind of our tester piece, we've already wheeled this edge a little bit to try and stretch this edge to get that arc that I want. I am going to try shrinking with the kick shrinker a little bit on this to see if that works. But I do kind of suspect now that what I might need to do is make an arced piece of sheet metal and run that through so that the arc is already built into the sheet metal. The reason being, a few reasons. When I shrink this edge, it's gonna flatten it a bit, and it's also going to mark it up. And then this, wheeling this edge to stretch it, the stretch will not do it just by wheeling this edge. Like, you have to shrink past this broken line, kind of. So it's a learning experience. We're gonna, right now, we're gonna shrink this edge, try and get a bit of an arc out of it. I'm gonna clamp it on and stand back for a second here. I definitely need to remove this body line so that I can actually see what's happening, but...
Do you want the flat flange ones, or?
No, okay. Here, and then just let this sit like that. Yeah, there you go. What happens when you let go?
It just falls.
Okay, I'm just gonna put something on that.
There's more.
It almost does it right there. Huh. I'm actually like really happy with that. I'm actually super impressed that it did do.
It follows that line quite nice.
It does. It follows it way better than it did. It's sitting out a little bit so that it can sit down. But that is what I was going for, is that this line in the center of this arc is a little bit too high. Like on the four-door conversion Zephyrs that I've seen, people always replace this whole thing, and it looks by eye like the arc of the body line is too high in this spot. So this new line drops it down. Can you have a look in there, Elio? Maybe come to this side. You can see where it wants to sit, where the edge of mine is probably a good, I'd say 3/16 of an inch lower than the body line that is here. So to really see, we're gonna have to cut this body line out. But man, that's really not that bad. The crimping of the sheet metal with the shrinker, it's not terrible. Like I can massage a lot of that.
And then once you start welding all this, like you have to hammer.
Yeah, it's gonna all get planished and stuff anyway, right? So that's definitely a good way to do it that I'm happy with. Like we could do it this way for sure. I still want to try the other way. I still want to try drawing the arc and then bead rolling it to see how that works. But I mean, if that doesn't work, this does work, you know? The advantage to doing it the other way is that we're not going to have these marks. But man, the bead, the body line right now is so good.
Sorry.
Oh. Okay, so I think what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna mark this out where our piece is, because it's close, right? We're pretty happy with what's going on here, but what I would like to do is cut the old body line out so that this can actually sit closer to proper, and then we will be able to see if we really like the arc that we've made, do any tweaks to this arc that we've made, and then I'm gonna make a template of this arc in the same fashion as I did this one, which is this is a homemade sweep for the body when we were doing the doors and the side. So in the same way, I'm gonna do an arc for this that I can then template and try that other way that we were talking about by just putting it through the bead roller in an arced piece. We're gonna see which technique we like more. This definitely works and is usable, but if the other technique works better, then we'll use that one. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so got the piece on here. It looks pretty good, could use a little bit of tweaks, but overall, very happy with the way it looks. When I stand back, I like the way the body line flows. I ended up cutting off one of my braces in the back here, so that is a little bit floppy. It's supposed to be pushed out to about there. So what I'm gonna do now is tweak this line a little bit. There seems to be a bit of a flat spot. If we stand way back, you can kind of see it. Here, can you stand back there? There's like a little bit of a flat spot here, so I'm gonna shrink a little bit more, get this close, and then, like I said, I'm gonna make a template of that curve, and then we're gonna try it the other way. gotta say I'm pretty happy with that. It's looking really good. The line itself is kind of bang on, you know? This is a little bit twisted, but that's minor, you know? Just putting that down and welding it is good. The flow is awesome. It's very much what I was going for. Wow. What do you think, Elio?
That looks really good.
Yeah, you think so? Do you see any other flat spots? I really don't. It's such a shallow curve that you kind of got to look at it from all angles.
Yeah, like right, maybe, but like you don't want to go too much because you don't want to bring this down. So.
Yeah. Yeah, like right now, I think
the ultimate will be is like once you cut this to see if this is perfectly parallel, like if this flows right into here, rather than, you know what I mean?
It does, like looking at the angle, like obviously this becomes a sharper radius as soon as it gets to the fender, and this is a little bit shallower, but I believe that that's like right where the transition is. And looking at it through this way, it looks like this body line could not tip any further down. Like it looks,
or else it's gonna point down on the,
or else it's gonna create that sink, you know? I think, oh man, I'm so tempted to just weld it in and like, you know, just go for it. But that's our first piece. Like the second one's always better. So, you know, this is supposed to be just a learning piece. I learned that it works. It definitely works. I'm happier with this than I was with these by a long shot, and I was almost happy enough with those. So, but we're gonna continue doing what we said we're gonna do. This is awesome. Time to template that and then give it a try, cutting a piece on that curve. Are we really gonna do that? That honestly sounds like it's gonna be really hard to do. To nail a curve that's that gradual is like, seems daunting without having a proper way to mark it.
How long is it? Is it 4 feet?
It's 4 feet, yeah. Because I just realized that I could probably just trace this edge, being that this started out as a sheared perfect edge that was straight, identical with the center body line. I don't need to create a new sweep, like I was saying. I was gonna make a sweep like this to try and get this arc, but why would I do that when this is that line right there? So I'm gonna undo this. I'm gonna trace this edge onto a piece of 18 gauge sheet metal. We're gonna cut that into a strip that is the same width as this. It'll have its slight curve, what we have as a body line, and we're gonna push that through the bead roller and see how that works. And if it doesn't work how we want it to, or it fights us, we know that this technique does work. So now we're gonna get into it. Okay, so for our next trick of using the radius to actually follow the radius to bead roll, what I'm gonna do is take this fence away, and the reason being is that if we have a slight radius like this, we're not gonna be able to find ourselves on a straight fence. So what we need to do is we need to have a couple of round pieces that I'm gonna tack to the fence, and that will allow the radius to find 2 points. There, and we can keep the radius tight against these 2 points, and it will evenly do it all the way through. So that's the plan anyway. So I'm just gonna bust these little tacks off. Come on. There we go. This is not the best fence, you know. This is just me trying to figure it out, so I don't mind tacking stuff to it. So I guess, me having the slot in there, I don't know if that is the best idea either. Well, we're gonna try it. We're gonna try and see how it is. I'll line that up at the bottom of this. Yeah, it's gonna work. It's gonna work perfect. What am I saying? It's gonna work perfect. I can already tell it's not working as good as it worked the other way. We were fighting it a little bit because of these, and it just wants to keep kicking it out, being on that curve, and it's just so hard to keep it centered in there. Not only that, you can't really start it on both of them because you have to start it in, so you're already losing a couple inches. I'm kind of ready to already say that the other technique is going to work better in this situation for me. So I think this stuff's kind of scrap. I think we're going to go back to the other fence. We're going to do it straight again, and we're just going to keep it as straight as possible. We're going to crank it through a bunch of times and try and make it smooth, over crank it even so that we don't see any of that minor deflection in the wheel, and then go back and do the same technique as we already did, because I know I mean, proof is in the pudding. It was a totally usable piece. So we're just going to try and improve on that piece by doing it one more time, and then we'll be tacking it on, I guess. So the whole curved thing, maybe it's a little bit better of a technique for a pull max, or there's just a better way to do it. This profile die with this fence setup, it's just too hard to control. So I think we're gonna go back. We're gonna go back to just doing it straight and get her done. I've got a couple of shrinks in here. I've got some stretches on this side with the wheel, but I just wanted to show you guys because I didn't explain it before. I put a flat wheel on the top and the bottom now, and the reason being is that the edge of this, if you watch this a little, the edge of this is straight at the end. Like I can get this slow curve on this piece by pressing it on my belly or doing whatever, but you can't do that right on the end. So what I do is I'll pinch this flat flange, this flat part of the flange in the wheels, the flat wheels, and I'll just add pressure. So I'm really not shaping any metal here. I'm just forming it. So I push it in here and then I'll just put some pressure down, and that allows me to put a little bit of pressure down and roll that flange right near the body line. Because it's flat wheel on flat wheel, it's clamping this piece right near the body line as well. So I can kind of just massage it a little bit, and then I get that slow curve happening near an edge. So that's all I want to say. So I'm just going to keep tweaking this up, and we'll be there. We'll be there shortly. Okay, well, got the piece clecoed on there, and I'm really happy with it. This piece, we made that piece in like 20 minutes, you know, including all the messing around. And I am having a hard time seeing any flat spots or flaws in it. I mean, there's, you know, it's not 1000%, like you could see maybe a tiny wave in there, but oh man, it's really good. This is by far the best one yet, and this is definitely gonna make it on the car. But what we're gonna do, because I just want to make sure that my eyes aren't playing tricks on me. The car's on a little bit of a down slope in the front, so what we're gonna do, Elio's just about to jack up the front of the car to try and make it somewhat level, and then we're just gonna eyeball it again. The eyes don't lie. Keep going. Keep going. Yeah, keep going. Keep going. Quite a bit actually, man. The back end is just so jacked up. That looks to me like about the frame is level. Well, the frame, it's a unibody car, but it still kind of has a frame. It's just on there solid. So we're gonna slap a actual level on the frame here and just see where we're at. Needs to go up more. Just a little though. Little more. Little more. Yeah, oh, stop. Dead bubble. That's what we call dead bubble. Now, we can eyeball it again. Isn't that funny? When the chassis is level, the car looks like it's leaning back. Whatever. Let's just have close looks at this body line. You can definitely see in the shine the very slow waves. I believe that's still from the bead roll dies not being 1000%. They're 994%. They're not 1000. I don't know, man. What do you think?
It looks good.
I think it looks good too. Like it lines up.
Maybe changes it once we lift it up the front.
Yeah, it looks like it slopes back nice and has a good flow. We were worried about it being too flat looking, but no matter what angle I look at the body line, if I'm looking down it, I believe that it's got pretty good flow, you know? And then obviously goes harsh down the back, but I think that's it. That piece is made. We made it.
We made it.
We did it. You want to say hi to Bronwyn? You think she'll watch? Cool. Not sure if that's a piece I want to tack in right this second, because I'd like to make the other side. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass this to Elio. I think we're going to end this video here because this just seems like a good place to end it. Welding that in, that's almost another video. I want to really show you guys the fit up of that. We haven't covered that in a while. TIG welding, fit up, file fit, making sure that that goes in perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to continue on to the other side. That's what I'm going to do next. Make sure that we've got a panel and a piece to put on the other side. That way when we file fit and put it all together, we can actually get everything put together at once. So thanks a lot for watching Make It Kustom, everybody. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you for all the support, the comments. Let me know what you think. If you think this is the right way to do it, or if you think there's a better way, let me know. I would love to try a pole max in this situation. That's something that I do not have that I would like to either build or buy. I like building tools, obviously, so maybe I'll get into that. But yeah, we're gonna call that a video. Before we go though, before I say goodbye, I do want to shout out to Butler's. Butler's is it's like a cafe racer slash leatherwork company. They did send me some stuff to try out and I really appreciate it. I'm actually wearing their belt. They're like, hey man, your pants keep falling down, so here's a belt. And originally when I talked to him, he wanted to show me some other stuff. So he sent me a package, a little care package here. I'm gonna throw a link in the description for these guys because I do appreciate when people do stuff like this. And these guys aren't the only ones. So they hooked me up with some leather welding gloves to try. They're beautiful, like really high quality, double stitch, nice stuff. We got some leather riding gloves. Yeah, really comfy, nicely lined. I'm gonna try this stuff out. I'll let you guys know how it goes. They also sent a little tool roll. If you ride motorcycles, this is like what guys throw on their handlebars or keep in the back seat of your truck. Put your wrenches, screwdrivers, like canvas, leather. It's just nice quality stuff. So, I just want to say thank you to those guys. They also gave me this is the thing I'm most excited about, is this apron, metal shaping apron. It's got the shoulder straps that cross along the back. I had one in the past that had a strap that went around my neck, like around the back of my neck, and I felt like the weight of the apron was kind of pulling my head down a bit. Might not be an issue for you guys. I personally like the X strap along the back, but definitely give these guys some love. Go check them out. Like I said, I'm gonna try this stuff out and I'll let you guys know. But there you go, Butler's Customs and Cafe Racers. Thanks, boys. And with that, we'll see you next time. Don't forget to like, click subscribe, hit notifications. At the end of the video, you'll see a little button pop up if you want to be part of the custom crew. That's $5 a month. You get a little badge by your name. I'm able to search you guys a little bit easier in the comments, make sure I get back to you, as well as you get a 15% discount on our merch site, which is japhandskustoms.com. Hats, hoodies, t-shirts. We've got some other stuff on there too. So much love, everybody. Take care. See you next time.